And I'm back. I'm glad I didn't have to go through a full reset. The live split just would not close, so it prevented the game from the computer from restarting. Everything else closed, including Discord, which I have to reopen. So I'll start the timer again in a bit after I get everything resituated. Let's see. Alright, this. There we go. Should I try Metro again? Because I have other games, a lot of other games, in fact. Uh, I'll play it on day 3, I guess. So, as soon as I open the other game, I'll start the timer. Right, this game does not use controller. Let's see. Properties. That. Perfect size, I guess. And now, for the big... Can you hear the game? Beard? Whoops, I accidentally hit the restart. Oh well, you guys are getting more than. Alright, there's audio. From all I know about this game is it's point and click. Okay, have fun.
Bill, wake up! The carriage is on fire!
That's only funny when I do it to you.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
Bit too much
Beard,
Bollingworth
the
ale.
carriage is on
That
fire.
stuff really creeps up on you.
Sorry I couldn't join you, but I was long overdue for a quiet night in with Addie.
That's fine. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Hell, maybe Adelaide can even join us. It's been ages since she last drank me under the table.
Afraid she mostly sticks to tea these days.
Miles, what exactly is it we're looking into? I may have dozed off during the briefing.
You sleep through the briefings?
Sure, it's really not that difficult. Snelling's monotonous drone works better than Cold Tit's emulsified soporific.
Very funny. Anyway, it's a burglary at the Hanbrook Flower Shop.
A burglary, eh? How dull. At least we'll have enough time to get a drink afterwards.
You seem awfully certain of that.
I am. In fact, I'd bet the devil my head that we're done within the hour.
Well, the devil's gonna be disappointed that his winnings are so meager. Ah, we've arrived. After you, Bill.
The city of New Breckenridge. 1844. HCO? What's that?
Thank you. Keep the change.
And so, our night of excitement begins.
You, more than anyone else, should know that there's rarely a dull night in Chumley.
I have a feeling tonight will be the exception. Until we get to the pub, that is.
Keep your mind on the case, Bill. Now let's get a move on.
Left click to interact with the objects. The mouse cursor is context sensitive.
Looks like they've had some trouble with vandalism.
Pretty much every business in this part of town has.
Trash
Forty?
can.
What are you doing?
I was gonna check inside this trash can for clues.
Miles, in the 15 years we've been partners, how many times have you found something inside a trash can that wasn't garbage?
Fair point. No point wasting time searching through a dirty old trash can.
You finally learned. I'm so proud.
No point wasting time.
You finally...
Nope. 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 No point.
Damn it.
Glad this thing is lit. This isn't really the type of place I'd prefer to be at this time of night.
Don't worry, Miles. I've got your back.
He's just pacing back and forth, muttering to himself.
Probably one of the patients from Riverview. Seems like there's more of them on the streets than in the asylum these days.
I can't believe that thing made it all the way across the Atlantic in less than a week.
Don't scoff at the future, Miles. Pretty soon, we'll all be riding those things to work.
Especially considering Prince Harold is their big celebrity passenger. Certainly looks cozy in there.
Plants have a nice way of doing that.
That reminds me, I should pick up a bouquet for Addie when we're done here.
Seems like you've been spending more time with me than with her lately. I sure hope she's not the jealous type.
Poor fellow. Looks like the streets are his bed tonight.
Better than jail, I suppose.
He'd at least get fed in jail.
True enough.
Bill, could I have a word?
What's on your mind, Fordham?
A burglary at a flower shop. Not the most thrilling case we've had, is
These
it?
guys are ugly.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say Snelling's been giving us the boring cases lately.
They
on
look at it with the
purpose.
beady old
Why would
eyes.
he do something like that?
He's
Why are you
running
looking that way?
promotion
Your
to chief
butt,
of
your friend's
police.
over here.
He'd sell his own mother's cane if he thought it would help. Plus, there's no secret he doesn't like us.
I can't understand why. I've shown him nothing but respect.
It's because you're too good at what you do. And because you're friends with me.
What's that got to do with anything?
Not everyone is as open-minded as you, Miles. Let's just leave it at that.
You ever miss living out here, Bill?
About as much as you missed stepping in that pile of horseshit last week.
I was distracted by that story you were telling me about your sister. How's she doing out west, anyway?
Well, she's not in the chum, so fantastic. Living here was about as fun as wearing a vest made of meat to a dogfight. I'm glad we both managed to get out. Oh, and by the way, Miles, you didn't do such a great job of cleaning your shoes.
That would explain all the funny looks I've been getting. Still feeling rough, Bill?
Yes, but I'll feel better once this case is finished and we can go down to the Angel for a pint or four.
Hair of the dog?
No better medicine.
When's the last time you took any time off?
That's a good question. What year is this again?
I think we've both been working a bit too much lately. Addie's been wanting to go visit her mother in Dixie. Maybe we can all go.
Well, sounds nice, but I wouldn't want to be a third wheel on a visit to your in-laws. Unless... would Adelaide's brother be there by any chance?
You're incorrigible, Bill.
It's one of my finer qualities.
Got any opinions on the upcoming election?
I'll just be glad when it's all over. Seems like the last few months have been nothing but people giving opinions and telling me what to do without a moment's peace.
I know what you mean. I already saw some kids putting up Atwood posters down my street.
I already drew mustaches in all the ones on my street.
Handlebar?
You know me too well.
I always thought of Atwood as more of a Van Dyke type of man myself.
I can see that. Yeah. Well, there's something to do tomorrow.
You enjoying this weather? It's a nice evening for it, not too hot. I find a bit of fresh air always helps clear out the mental cobwebs.
It's just too bad the air in the chum is about as fresh as a week-old corpse. At any rate, it'll be winter before you know it. The whole city will be shut down, and we'll be digging bodies out from under the snowbanks.
Always something to look forward to. The ferry ride over was surprisingly uneventful, don't you think?
I know. It doesn't really feel like a visit to the chum without seeing at least one fistfight. Oh well, there's always the ride back.
Let's get back to it.
All right.
The game should have even said, no, you're done.
We've talked enough for now, Miles. Let me know when you've discovered something new.
Hey, look, a door.
Come on, Bill.
Can we talk?
Charming little place, isn't it?
Charming, but empty. We need to find the owner.
Always so to the point, Fordham. If ever there was a better time to stop and
Half
smell
price
the flowers.
I think I'll leave that to you, Bill.
With my allergies? Hardly.
Hey, we're in a new area. Can
We've
we talk?
talked enough for now, Miles. Let me know when you've discovered something new.
Damn.
Plants hanging on hooks. A nice space-saving method.
I'd probably bang my head against them constantly if I had them in my apartment.
Same. Oh, there's stuff up here. Ooh, a save. Oh, I can name the save? Name? Blueberry. Save. Did it really just save it as blueberries? It did.
These prices are pretty reasonable. The place I go in Worcester's clearly robbing me blind.
If you think those are bad, don't go near the flower shops in Leon.
This is quite the selection. Come over here and take a whiff, Bill.
Sure, if you don't mind me getting snot all over your coat.
Oh, no, not the Myers case all over again. On second thought, you can just stay over there. This is quite the selection. Come over here and take a...
Sure.
Oh, on sec... Not too many left. Seems business isn't so bad around here.
Well, you know what they say. There are only three certainties in life. Death, taxes, and people taking advantage of sales.
Yup.
These seem to be part of the watering system for the flowers.
I haven't seen old piping like this in a while. Seems like someone's reluctant to upgrade.
The staircase isn't very well lit.
I'll go first. That way you can catch me if I fall.
We should probably ask for permission before heading up there. Mostly a bunch of fertilizer and growth tonics.
Growth tonics, eh?
Plant growth tonics, Bill.
Of course. I knew that.
Mostly a bunch of
Growth.
plants. It says private.
Well, that's one mystery solved.
Not too.
Well, you.
Be right there. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I must say you caught me by surprise. I was preparing to close soon. May I help you find anything? The flowers in the center display are half price this week, and I have a special on chrysanthemums today. Or perhaps a custom bouquet for the special ladies in your lives?
I have no need myself, but maybe Adelaide would appreciate a little something. Eh, Miles? Those peonies in the corner look nice.
I'm afraid we're not here as customers tonight, ma'am. We'd like to have a word with the proprietor. Is he in?
I see. I'm Cecilia Handbook, and this is my shop. What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I'm Detective Miles Fordham, and this is my partner, William Legere. We received a report of a burglary at your store.
A report? From whom? I never contacted the police before, and I didn't this time, either.
It was made anonymously, but are you saying this isn't the first time it's happened?
Correct. It's happened 3 times. But considering the police hardly care about the daily muggings and vandalisms around here, I didn't think they would be interested in something so trivial.
Well, we're here now, and we'll do all we can to help you.
We'll have to see about that.
If you wouldn't mind, Mrs. Handbrook, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Very well, Detective.
I am going to. Damn, she ugly.
Could you give me the details concerning the burglaries?
About 3 weeks ago on Monday, I noticed that my order of Easter lilies was missing. At first, I thought nothing of it. Sometimes certain types of flowers are unavailable or arrive in poor condition. These things happen. Then 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, it happened again. But this time, I noticed something rather odd.
Go on.
When I opened the shop, there were 6 crowns and 10 shillings on the counter. That's exactly the cost of 2 orders of lilies. Last Friday, it happened yet again. The lilies were missing, and there was payment for 1 order on the counter. I believe that someone has been breaking into my shop after hours, taking the lilies, and leaving money behind.
How unusual. Have you noticed any suspicious characters lurking around?
Detective Fordham, this is Chumley. You can't throw a stone without hitting a suspicious character. And if you've noticed my window, you'd be aware that stones get thrown around quite a bit in this neighborhood. If you're looking for trouble, you're far more likely to find it out there than in here.
I meant if you'd seen anyone out of the ordinary near your shop.
Only the 2 men from the police who entered it tonight. That is most definitely out of the ordinary.
Have you found any evidence of a break-in?
No, the front door is always locked. My assistant Trevor and I are the only ones with the key.
Are there any other points of access to the building?
The upstairs windows, I suppose, but I make sure to keep them locked, and neither of them have been broken.
Would you allow us to have a look upstairs?
Is that really necessary? I was just about to close up the shop.
Yes, it's
It
necessary.
won't take but a moment.
Fine, I suppose you may, but please, don't dally too long.
I will dally for as long as I want.
So, this burglar has been paying for the stolen goods?
That would appear to be the case, yes. I really don't think this could even be considered a crime. That's one of the reasons I didn't bother reporting it to the police.
And the other reasons?
Oh, I think I've already made those quite clear, Detective.
You
You're
mentioned your
under
assistant
arrest.
has the other shop key. What can you tell me about him?
His name is Trevor Hastings, and he has been working for me for the past 10 years.
Do you trust him?
Implicitly. I've known him for ages, and he has been my full-time assistant since shortly after my husband died. You're not suggesting he had anything to do with this, are you?
Not at all. I would like to speak with him, though. Where might I find him?
It's Friday, so he should be on his way back from the docks right now. He'll be bringing my flower order within the hour.
Good. We'll meet him here then, if that's all right with you.
I suppose I don't really have much of a choice, do I?
No.
Have you been in business long?
Yes, I opened this shop 30 years ago, along with my late husband, David. But the past 10 years, I've been running things on my own.
Don't you feel unsafe being here by yourself so late into the night?
Detective, when you've lived in this part of town as long as I have, it takes quite a lot to scare you.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Damn. Can I click them again?
I'll let you know if I have any more questions, Mrs. Hambrook.
Darn.
Ah, yes, I'm sure you will.
Got a minute, Bill?
For you, Miles,
Woo!
I've got 5.
We can talk.
I've heard of honor among thieves, but have you ever known a thief to pay for stolen goods?
Perhaps conducting normal business is just too boring for him. Do you think he might be doing it for the thrill?
There could be any number of reasons. The best way to find out is to catch the culprit and ask him ourselves. What's your impression of dear old Mrs. Hambrook?
I like her. Good old-fashioned, tough-as-nails Chumley woman. Reminds me of my mother.
Your mother was never quite so stubborn. Why do you suppose she's so reluctant to accept our help?
It's a chum thing, Miles. You wouldn't understand.
Let's get back to it.
All right. Interesting choice of decor in here.
Perhaps it wasn't always used as a storeroom, although I can understand why it would have been converted.
Yeah, it is rather drafty in here.
Like this room, it looks nice. Besides all the torn wallpapers and such.
A pastoral landscape. Definitely nowhere near here.
I've never much understood art, but it would be nice to see a place like that in person.
I would imagine that keeping a consistent temperature in here is important for the flowers.
When do you suppose this contraption was last serviced?
Hard to say. Definitely not recently, if the dust buildup is any indication. A young lady. Perhaps a relation of Mrs. Hambrook?
I can see the resemblance. Sort of.
A rather distinguished-looking gentleman.
Reminds me of Captain Snelling, if he ever smiled.
I've seen this type of device before. It's a special container for growing plants. Specific temperature and water conditions can be adjusted. Seems to be empty right now, though. And judging by the dust, it hasn't been used in a long time, if ever.
It seems Mrs. Hambrook isn't too fond of steam tech, or just doesn't understand it.
Seems to be the broken pot storage area.
Why not just throw them away, I wonder?
It's likely they're going to be repaired. I noticed some faint cracks in some of the pots downstairs. Unmarked, but if the smell is anything to go by, this is where the flowers are stored when delivered.
I'll keep my distance then.
I don't think this window would serve as a viable means of entry.
It's a nice view, though. You can hardly see the vomit and manure piles on the street from up here.
This provides a means of escape from the top floor, or access to this window from the ground. The window latch, securely locked. Interesting. There's a gap between the window and the frame here. No wonder it's so drafty in this room. I wonder.
What are you thinking, Fordham?
That it's time for an experiment. I'm going to need a tool, however. Something long and thin should do the trick.
Shouldn't be too hard to find something like that around here.
Seems to be the broken pots.
Why not just...
It's like Unmarked.
I'll keep my...
Fascinating device. Seems to...
Why not?
It's like... I would imagine...
When do you...
Hard to... I have a few more questions for you, Mrs. Hambrook.
Very well, Detective. If it will help you conclude your investigation faster.
Mrs. Hambrook, were you aware that there's a gap in the frame of the small upstairs window?
Is there? I only go up there to check that the window is locked. I've never noticed a gap. Are you suggesting that's how the burglar is entering the store?
It's a distinct possibility, but I have yet to figure out exactly how.
Well, I trust you'll come to a satisfactory conclusion, Detective.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Aha! This hook is exactly what I need. Mrs. Hanbrook, may I borrow this hook for a few minutes? It's crucial to our investigation.
Is that so?
Yes, I promise I'll put it back as soon as I'm done.
Please do, Detective.
Lamplight City, in all her glory. Good. Bill, it's time for our experiment.
And what is this experiment going to be exactly?
Simple. I'm going to see if this hook can get me inside the shop. Rather dark out here.
Watch your step, then. This experiment of yours isn't worth a broken neck.
I'll be fine. Now then, could you please close and lock the window, Bill? Well, I'd say this is fairly incontrovertible proof that the building can easily be broken into without arousing suspicion.
Where'd you learn how to do that, anyway?
You taught me, remember?
Nah. Are you sure it was me?
Positive. We were a few pints in at the Angel about 5 years ago, and you decided I should learn how to pick locks.
What else have I taught you how to do while drunk?
That would be telling.
Leave it to the drunk.
Ah, Trevor.
Evening, Cecilia. I've got the order ready to bring in.
Trevor, these are Detectives Fordham and Legere. They say there's been a report about the burglaries, and they're here investigating.
I only did it because I think it's been going on too long. As much as you want to, we can't handle this ourselves.
We can discuss the matter later. In the meantime, the detective would like a word with you.
I'll be needing to bring in the flowers first, if that's all right. Otherwise, some hooligan's likely to run off with them.
My partner will keep an eye on your flowers. Bill, would you mind?
Ah, the glamour of police work.
Now, Mr. Hastings, if I could ask you a few questions?
Go on, then.
He also
What can you tell me about the recent burglaries?
I wish Cecilia had contacted you a lot sooner. She's a damn fine woman. But sometimes I think she'd rather jump in a rose bush than ask for help. Had to take matters into my own hands. This needs taken care of, and we can't do it on our own, as much as Cecilia would like to. Anyhow, alls I know is someone's been making off with some flowers and leaving money behind. No idea who it could be, how they're getting in, or why they even bother paying. In my day, if you robbed a place, you did it the right way. It's a sad state of affairs when even burglars don't do their jobs correctly.
Do you have much experience with burglary, Mr. Hastings?
Now, I never said that, Detective.
Have you noticed anyone or anything suspicious around here recently?
Nothing but the usual roughnecks, ragamuffins, and drunkards. Like I said,
What is a
it's a
ragamuffin?
real mystery.
Could you walk me through the process of your deliveries?
Of course, there's no great science to it. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, Cecilia gives me her list of flowers to pick up from the wholesalers. I head over to Gascon around sunset when they get their shipment, and I give them her order. They load up the crate, I pay for it, and then I lug it back here.
How long does that take?
Between moving the crate and getting it across the river on the ferry, a couple of hours. Usually the store's closed by then, so I use my key to get in and leave the crate inside for Cecilia to open in the morning. That's all there is to it. Told you it wasn't very complicated.
Do you ever leave the crate unattended during that time?
No, sir. Never more than a minute. I may be old, but I got good eyes. I'd see if there were anything amiss. Besides that, I check to make sure the crate is still sealed when I drop it off. I'm not about to let Cecilia down by being careless.
How long have you been working for Mrs. Hanbrook?
Been about 10 years now, I reckon. I used to help with deliveries now and then when it was her and David, her husband. But after he passed, she offered to make me her assistant. Unfortunate way to get it, but I needed the work. Used to be I had a job at one of the airship yards, but they let me go after I was injured by one of those newfangled steam machines. So the offer came at a good time. Besides that, Cecilia needed looking after, even though she'd never admit it. If I'm being honest, we're both getting a bit long in the tooth. Not sure how much longer we'll be keeping this up, but as long as I'm upright and breathing, I'll be bringing these crates along, even if it is murder on my back.
I admire your work ethic.
I've got a job to do. Not enough people these days seem to respect that.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Hastings. I'll let you get back to work.
Appreciate it, Detective. If you don't mind, Detective, I still need to check the crate before I bring it in.
Of course. Thank you again for your help.
Learn anything?
Possibly. I may have an idea.
Ah, you're being cryptic. That's always a good sign. But if you've got a plan, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Got a minute, Bill?
For you, Miles, I've got 5.
Any thoughts on Mrs. Hanbrook's assistant, Trevor?
Yes, I feel sorry for him.
Why? He seems to enjoy his work.
Nah, it's not that. He's obviously smitten with Mrs. Hanbrook, but she won't give him the time of day.
What? You only saw him for a few moments. How in the ether did you get that impression?
The way he looked at her, the way he
It's
spoke when he confessed to
very
contacting the
obvious.
police. Shall I go on?
No, that's fine. I see what you mean.
Really, Miles? You'd be surprised what you can learn from people if you just look at them.
Why bother doing that when I've got you to do it for me? Right. Based on what we've been told in our experiment, I can only conclude that our burglar is using the upstairs window to get into the shop.
So, what do you propose we do about it?
It's happened repeatedly over the past 3 weeks, on one of the delivery nights. Since it has yet to occur this week, and today is Friday, logic dictates it should be tonight.
So, we settle in and wait to see if the burglar returns? Catch him in the act?
Exactly. It's our best chance of solving this before the trail goes cold.
And I was really looking forward to getting that drink at the Angel tonight, too.
I know, but it's as you said yourself. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Besides, forbearance is good for the soul.
Spoken like someone who truly has no idea how to have any fun.
I'm sure I'll get the hang of it one of these days, especially with your expert tutelage.
Okay, let's go have a chat with Mrs. Hanbrook. I'm sure she'll be delighted to know we're spending the night. Damn, I forgot to bring my deck of cards again.
At least it's quiet up here. I'm surprised we didn't go deaf after the last time we did this.
What?
I said, oh, right. Your sense of humor remains on point.
Miles, have you ever considered leaving all this behind?
What, you mean quitting the force?
The force, the city, going off and seeing what else is out there, you know?
I'd miss it too much. Wouldn't you?
I was thinking I might visit Harley out west. She makes it sound like a dream in her letters. Wide open spaces, fresh air. I know I'm a city boy and would probably miss New Britannia's filth and squalor after a week, but...
You should do it. A change of scenery never hurt anyone. Plus, it's much easier for you than it is for me. I've got a family to consider, after all.
Ah, right.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that, Bill. It's just...
Shh. I think I heard something. Oh, no.
Bill? Stop! Police!
Damn it! He's got up the fire escape. We can corner him on the roof. Stay close and keep me covered.
Bill!
Stay back, officer. Got a knife. Ready your pistol for him.
But you're too close!
I trust you, Miles. Your pistol, now! There's really no need for this, officer. I respect your desire to uphold justice. Mine is more important. If you let me go, I won't come back. And we can all forget this ever happened. Don't listen to this lunatic, Miles. Take your shot before things get worse.
No! Bill! Oh, God! I am so sorry, my friend. I am so sorry.
Well, okay.
Miles, wake up! Your house is on fire!
Huh? What?
You see, I told you it was funnier when I did it to you.
Yes. Hilarious.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
Overdid it on the soporific.
What?
Why do I feel like I've had this conversation before?
I'm just glad you're in the mood to converse again. Seriously, you took so much of that snake oil last night, I was starting to think you wanted me quiet for good.
It's no personal slight. I just need some quiet time, or I'll go insane.
I get it. We all need our space. I know it's not easy, but there's really no need.
Not easy. Bill, I've been hearing your voice since you died. You don't shut up unless I take that accursed medicine. I'd say that qualifies as a bit more than not easy.
Yeah, well, how do you think I feel? You think I enjoy being trapped here, listening to you whine about how hard your life's become? You at least still have yours.
I'm losing my grip on reality, and it's all because of you.
Believe me, I know. It's not a pretty situation. But the bottom fact is, you're stuck with me. So you can either keep living this way and ruin your life even more than you already have, or you can do as I've told you and try to figure out a way to let me move on.
Right. For the 1000th time, you want me to find the burglar from the flower shop.
Yes, exactly.
I still don't get how that's going to help.
I can understand your confusion, considering it was you who killed me. But the point remains. You wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place if not for him. Once the criminal has been caught and is in custody, we'll both get what we want.
A decent night's sleep?
More than that, you'll have that elusive thing you always wanted to give others. Closure.
You do realize the trail's pretty much frozen at this point. Our man has seemingly vanished into the ether.
That's no excuse not to keep trying. I know the cases Upton's been giving you these past few months haven't been the most thrilling, but they've at least kept you active. So just keep at it. Something has to turn up eventually. Unless, of course, you want to wind up in Riverview Asylum. And if that happens, I'm really not going to keep quiet.
Fine.
Good man. Now, I suggest you stop talking to thin air, or Adelaide's gonna start wondering if you've gone mental. Or just maybe, she'll stop wondering.
Very funny.
What's this?
That's a fun little apparatus Adelaide got you. Very soothing.
Watching it spin long enough puts me right to sleep.
I'd say that's really more the soporific's doing. Remember before you started taking that medicine and you could actually read a book for more than 10 minutes before falling asleep? You were a lot more fun to talk to back then. I always liked that self-portrait of Adelaide's mother, even if the eyes do always follow you around the room. cozy little winter getaway. That would be a welcome change from the winters in this city. Wouldn't you say it's time for a change of clothes, Miles? You've been wearing that coat for who knows how long.
So? Addie gave it to me. Besides, it gives me character.
Right. Brooding detective in a long black coat. That's never been seen before.
What are you talking about, Bill?
Never mind. You should have let me be buried wearing my hat. At least it wouldn't be gathering dust like it is now.
If I'd done that, it would be dust right now.
Heh, fair point. Adelaide's last performance. She could really bring the house down. Pretty, but I'm glad I don't have a sense of smell anymore. I'm certain a permanent indentation in the shape of your rear is starting to form on that thing. Don't worry, Miles. I don't watch when you and Adelaide are having your private time.
It would be nice if you didn't spend the whole time humming.
I thought you appreciated some romantic music. Miles, care to explain what you're doing?
Just checking to make sure everything that needs to be in here still is.
Right. If you start taking that stuff during the day, you're really going to have problems. It's admirable just how organized Adelaide is. Maybe someday the same can be said about you. Ha, that poster brings back some memories. That's from around the time you two met, isn't it?
Yes, back when Addie was singing at the Angel.
Well, look who's awake. Ready to rejoin the living?
Very much so.
You were talking in your sleep again.
Did I say anything interesting?
Do you ever?
You have to admit, she's got you there.
How are you feeling?
A touch groggy. I think I took a bit too much of the soporific last night.
That's what I thought. When you went for your after-lunch nap, you'd barely gotten breakfast down. I saved you some bread and cheese if you're hungry.
Thank you, but I haven't got much of an appetite.
You really should regulate your doses more carefully, love. I'm sure dull senses and an empty stomach aren't much help to your work. By the way, a message arrived via courier for you this morning. I put it on the table along with today's newspaper.
Thank you, dear.
I always liked that painting. It's impossible to see that kind of scenery here in the city. If there isn't a pair of scissors or a hairbrush in Adelaide's hands, you can bet there'll be a book. It might do you some good to look in the mirror a bit more often, Miles. You remember how much time Adelaide had to spend convincing you to sit for this? At least these days, with ferrotype tech advancing the way it is, these portraits can be done in just a matter of minutes. It's been so long since you used that desk. Did you even notice when Adelaide got rid of the chair? Bollingworth Ale. My favorite! And a nice souvenir from the Angel. You really ought to go back there someday. I'd love to see the look on Snelling's face if he ever found out you kept your old truncheon. Ah, the Havisham case. Our first time out as partners. First in a long line of successful cases. It's nice to have a memory of the good old days. That makes me wonder what old Mrs. Handbrook is up to these days. Your book collection has always astonished me. Heaven help you if you ever decide to move. Your book collection is always... Adelaide's father certainly had an amazing life. Imagine being the personal barber to the Prime Minister and his family. The gossip and secrets he must have heard. Didn't I give you two that clock as a wedding present? Too bad it stopped working. I can see why Adelaide calls that plant Miles Jr. It's a spitting image. How are your parents doing these days? It's been ages since you wrote them.
Oh, God. Second bizarre murder baffles police. I'm not saying that. It's real and it's coming, says scientists. Gascon Grandane dies. Remember in the HMS Nigeria? suck at reading cursive. Boredom? A big case has come in which I think will interest you. Meet me at the Ruin Coffee House for more details. See Upton.
Upton says she's got a big case for me.
Does she go into any more detail than that?
No, but then you know Upton. Always on a need-to-know basis. Especially since she's been giving me these cases under the table.
To be fair, they haven't exactly been anything of note.
True, but she's still sticking her neck out for me. I can understand why she's so secretive about it.
I think she just misses having you around the station.
Poor Connie. With you quitting and me dying, she must be bored stiff at work.
Anyway, I'm supposed to meet her at the Ruin Coffee House. That can't be right.
It's not like Constance to make mistakes. She must have gotten in somehow.
Guess I'll head over there and see what she's got then. Have a lovely day, Addie.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine.
Go on, fix the hair.
Honey, I'm home. You know, I've always wanted to say that.
Welcome home.
Fix the hair.
Addie?
Yes, dear?
How's work going? You have any appointments today?
Yes, one this evening. It's been a bit slow lately, but pretty soon it'll be debutante ball season, and all the Gascon grand dames will need their hair done. You sure I can't convince you to let me give you a little trim? You've been looking awfully scruffy lately.
What's the point? I've got no need to go peacocking around town. You're the only girl for me.
I like it when you're clean cut. It brings out your eyes.
The way my eyes have been looking lately, I think it's best to keep them hidden. How are you? It feels as though we haven't seen much of each other these past few days.
I've been fine.
Addie, you're not a very good liar. What's on your mind?
I'm worried about you, Miles.
I know, but I've told you there's no need to worry about me. I'm all right.
You're not all right, Miles. I may not be a good liar, but you can't fool me either.
I am all right. What do I have to do to convince you of that?
You could start by throwing out that sleeping medicine. It's turned you into a different person.
I need it to sleep, Addie. I'll become an even worse person without it, believe me.
I know Bill's death was hard for you. It was hard for all of us. But whatever it is that's bothering you, you know you can talk to me about it. That's what I'm here for.
I know, my love. Your support means the world to me. I need some time to deal with things. That's all. It won't always be like this, I promise.
Making promises you can't keep, eh, Miles? That'll end well.
What's that you're reading?
It's a collection of short stories by James Penstroke. It was just published earlier this month.
Any good?
Oh yes, I love his work. He's been publishing a new serial in Brentwell magazine. I can't wait to read it. Perhaps we both can together? I think you'd enjoy him.
Lately, I haven't been able to concentrate on a page for more than 5 minutes without nodding off.
That is a pity.
I've still got that song you sang last week at the Rutherford stuck in my head. You were amazing.
Thank you, Miles. That was a lovely evening. I always enjoy it when Joseph brings out his violin and we can relive the old days.
Certainly nicer than when he spends hours telling the exact same story whenever you visit.
They were very glad to see you, you know.
It's probably the most fun I've had in months, to be honest.
They've invited us for dinner again in a couple of weeks, if you're feeling up to it.
I hope I am. I'll let you get back to your book. Enjoy your reading. I'll be back soon.
Don't work yourself too hard, dear.
Let's see. Save. Right.
Ah, the Rouen Coffee House. Worst Java in Lamplight City, but there's no better place to overhear all the rumors and gossip in town. Just make sure you don't get too close to the other patrons. Discretion was never your forte. Nice seaside landscape. Definitely a stark contrast to the ambiance in here. What a cheery reminder of everyone's impending death. That whole thing about the man in the black robe, complete lie, by the way. Green's sulfur soap. Beautifies the complexion and leaves you smelling fresh as a daisy. Talk about false advertising. I couldn't get a date for a week after using that stuff. Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. Absolutely guaranteed to restore vitality, youth, and vigor or your money back. For use by men only. These things seem to have had a spike in popularity recently. Dr. W.S. Sales Wonder Tonic. The best and safest medicine for both gentlemen and ladies. Prevents consumption, general weakness, feverishness, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, loss of appetite, flatulence, and head pain. They should also mention that it prevents breathing, heartbeats, and being alive. Self-Portrait as a Desperate Man by B. Calvert. A bit like looking in the mirror, isn't it, Miles? Best avoid that one. He looks like he might tip over at any moment. Reminds me of when I was alive. Ah, good times. Professor Xander Colt Tit III's emulsified soporific, available at all discerning pharmacies. I really don't know why you think taking that rat piss every night is a good idea for them. Simon Banks, professional chimney sweep. Services start at 2 coppers per hour. Inquire at 305 Merrick Lane. I'm sure he's a lovable urchin, but thankfully, your chimney is clean. P.D. Preston's patented papier-mâché perambucat. Handsomely upholstered in silk, satin, or velvet, and hand-painted in the most artistic manner, as shown in engraving. I suppose if you and Adelaide ever finally decide to have children, something like this will come in handy. He and his friend are having quite the conversation. I bet it's really boring. He's missing his left arm below the elbow. How do you suppose that happened? He and his friend are having all that metal and tubing just to serve a hot cup of coffee? Judging by the sooty apron, this man is either a metal worker, a chimney sweep, or just really lazy when it comes to washing. Not in much of a hurry to clean up in here, are they? Not in much of a hurry. Seems like they have a little something for everyone in here. The Specialty House Brews. These are definitely not coffee. The special... Just one of many patrons contributing to the oppressive thug in here. She's running back and forth at lightning speed. Clearly, she dips into the coffee supply. Asleep at a coffee house. One of life's little ironies. A young woman holding a guitar. Completely the wrong way, I might add. If this is how they store their coffee beans, it's probably a better idea to ask for tea.
If it isn't my old friend, up to no good.
Hello, Fordham. It's good to see you.
How did you get them to let you in here?
It's rather simple, really. The owner and I have an understanding. He pretends women are allowed in coffee houses, and I don't report his unsavory business practices to Chief Snelling.
Sounds like a good deal. What sort of unsavory business practices are we talking about?
Oh, we haven't got time to get into that now. But take some advice. Don't order anything that isn't water.
Managed to sneak another case past Snelling, eh?
Yes, and if he finds out I did, it won't be pretty. This is a big one. We're not in lost cat territory anymore.
So stop teasing me and tell me what it is already.
Do you know Madame Laura Dupre?
Can't say the name rings any bells.
I'm not surprised. She's one of the Gascon Grand Dames. Doesn't really run in our kind of social circles.
Ah, right.
Madame Dupre died the day before yesterday. Her funeral was held this morning.
My condolences.
But halfway through the service, the mourners heard a loud knocking coming from inside her coffin.
She wasn't dead?
Apparently not. Nearly interred alive, although her doctor swears she had no pulse. Dupre's son Andrew was quick to suspect foul play. He accused a man named Albert Martin, and the police arrested him.
So where do I come in? Sounds like the case has already been solved.
I strongly suspect that Martin is innocent, especially considering the talk of him having used black magic on Dupre. The police feel they have enough evidence to convict, so they're not bothering to investigate any further. You're going to look into it and see if I'm right, then find the person who was really behind this.
Has Madame Dupre recovered from her ordeal?
I'm afraid not. Apparently she's been catatonic since they pulled her out of the coffin.
How unfortunate.
If you'd like to question Mr. Martin, he's being held at the Bow Street jail. Or you could take a look around his house. It's at 451 Compton Street in Worcester.
And the Dupre home?
That's at Emmeline and Comtesse, right across from the old Angeline convent. It's also possible you might run into the police during your investigation, since they're technically still on the case.
Thanks for the warning.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about before you get started?
Yes, actually, I had a couple of questions.
Let's hear them then.
Damn, every character in this game ugly.
How are things going with you?
Work is hectic as usual, and I'm spending my day off in here. But considering my home life is still a shambles, maybe this is the best place to be.
I'm truly sorry about that.
Don't be ridiculous. If it hadn't been for you, I'd still be chained to that philandering bastard. It hasn't been easy, but I'm much better off this way. Trust me. Anyway, work gives me something to focus on. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes, and I'm grateful to you for getting me these case leads. I know you're taking a risk to do it.
It's the least I can do. How about you? How's Adelaide?
She's fine, although things between us could be improved, if I'm being honest. The less said about it right now, the better, I think.
I'm sorry to hear that. You can talk to me about it if you need to, although I'm probably not the best person to ask for relationship advice.
Don't suppose there have been any developments regarding Bill's murder.
Unfortunately not. The department hasn't exactly been focusing on that case as a priority. The general attitude is that it was an accident. Bill died an honorable death in the line of duty.
Would have been nice if they bothered saying that at the funeral.
And of course there are still those who blame you for his death, Snelling being the first and foremost.
But the man who really caused Bill's death is still out there.
Yes, I know, but it looks like you're on your own if you want to find him. My hands are tied. I can only ask around so much before the higher-ups get suspicious. Just don't give up. New Britannia may be a big city, but the criminal world is surprisingly close-knit. If you find any connections or leads during your other cases, be sure and let me know. I'll do the same if I find anything out.
See, she has a priority straight. You could learn a lot from up there.
I wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
What do you know about Madame Dupre?
Only what I've read about her in the paper. She's
One sec. And I am back.
Well, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to help you find the flower shop burglar, but I suppose freeing an innocent man is a worthy diversion.
Fordham? Is that you? You look like something a cat spat up.
Hello, Giles. It's lovely to see you too.
What brings you round the jail? I thought you'd quit being a detective.
I'm looking to speak with Mr. Albert Martin.
Oh, I see. Well, that's him in the first cell there. I'd say what needs saying as quick as you can, though. He's headed for the gallows in the morning.
What? Already? But what about a trial?
No trial necessary when there's black magic involved. This little half-breed's already sealed his fate.
Such a charming fellow, isn't he? Not much in the way of comfort. No bed or even a bucket. It's a good thing this place is meant for short stays. Either crime is low, or the police aren't doing their jobs very well. He's watching you like a hawk. Looks liable to toss you in one of his cells if you try any funny business.
Mr. Martin?
Who are you? My lawyer?
No, I'm actually here to help you. The name's Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
How are you going to help me?
I'm looking into the attack on Madame Dupre. I believe you're innocent.
Oh, thank heaven. That's music to my ears.
Would you mind answering a few questions for me?
Friend, if it means saving me from the noose, I'll tell you nothing less than God's truth.
Interesting choice of phrase for someone accused of using black magic.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
What's to tell? She's a twisted, evil woman who got what was coming to her. Whoever attacked her deserves some sort of reward for the service they're doing the community.
So it wasn't you then?
No, I'm innocent, Mr. Fordham. You have to believe me.
I'm afraid you're not making that very easy right now, Mr. Martin. Do you know anything about the circumstances of Madame Dupre's supposed death?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Then why did her son accuse you?
Probably because he's just as ignorant as she is.
What I meant was, how did her son know to accuse you? Have you had any contact with the family before?
Yes, you could say that.
Uh-oh. That gleam in his eye says it all.
You see, I'm involved with Dupre's daughter, Juliet Montgomery. Dupre doesn't like that one bit. She even threatened me once.
Is that right?
Yes. She might have everyone else fooled, but that woman is the devil incarnate. I can't understand how something so heartless and cruel could have spawned someone as pure and, loving as my dear Juliet.
He's not really helping his case much, is he?
Tell me about Juliet.
She's wonderful. Such a beautiful, kind soul. She hasn't come to see me yet, but I'm sure that's because of all the confusion in the last few days. Juliet wouldn't believe for a second that I would be capable of harming her mother. I'm sure of it.
How did you two get involved?
We met at the university.
Your classmates?
Hardly. They wouldn't allow someone like me to enroll there. Juliet studies botany. I work as an assistant in the greenhouse. We started talking, and she actually treated me like a person. To everyone else, I was just the boy who fetched the test tubes. But Juliet actually wanted to hear what I had to say, had the same taste in books and art, didn't just treat me like some piece of gardening equipment. She even shared some of her notes with me after I told her I was interested in botany as well. From there, things just got better. I don't expect you to understand or approve, but that's how it happened.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It doesn't sound too different to how my wife and I got together. Except I was a detective and she was a singer at a bar.
And she's...
Yes, Mr. Martin. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. How often is Juliet in the greenhouse?
Every weekday, but I doubt she's there now. She's probably trying to find out where I am and working to have me released.
Somehow, I wouldn't bet on that.
How did you end up in here?
I was just minding my own business at home when the police showed up with no warning. They made some outrageous claims about me putting some sort of curse on Madame Dupre. The next thing I knew, I was here. Oh, Mama must be beside herself with worry. I just hope she's all right.
What does your mother do, Mr. Martin?
She helps people.
I was hoping you'd be just a bit more specific.
She provides spiritual help to those who seek guidance.
She's a spiritualist.
Not quite. She's more like... how can I explain it? You know how a priest holds mass to spread the word of God to the people? My mother holds services and calls on the spirits to walk among us, providing healing and guidance.
So she's a religious leader?
If you want to give her that title, it would be the most appropriate.
And does this religion of yours have a name?
You'd probably know it as voodoo, but it doesn't mean what you think it does. People are so quick to judge and portray us as evil when they have no idea.
So you practice voodoo, do you?
Are you making fun of me, Mr. Fordham?
No, of course not. Apologies if it seemed as though I was. It's just that the police are convinced that black magic was involved in Madame Dupre's apparent death.
That's because that idiot son of hers knew about my mother, and like all bigoted fools, assumed that we're involved in devil worship and the black arts. But I can assure you that this is most certainly not the case, Mr. Fordham.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply.
Just forget it.
That's all for now.
Wait, before you go, would you do me a favor? Would you go see my mother at our house and give her a message?
You're at 451 Compton Street, right?
Yes, that's right. Could you tell her I said St. Rock's dog is barking?
I suppose I could do that, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Whatever happened to a simple I love you?
You are aware this is private property, sir?
Yes, I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the incident involving Madame Dupre. I assume this is she?
You assume correctly, Mr. Fordham. My apologies, but I thought the police had already made an arrest.
That's right, but there's still some doubt as to the man's guilt. May I ask your name, sir?
I am Dr. Fellows, Madame Dupre's private physician. I'm afraid she is in no state to be answering questions at present.
Are any other members of the family home?
Her son, Mr. Montgomery, is in the entrance hall. I had to give him a mild sedative to settle his nerves, but he should be all right to converse.
Then if you don't mind, I'll have a look around.
This fountain probably looked nicer when it was working, but right now it's just a breeding ground for mosquitoes. With her vast sums of wealth, Madame Dupre could probably feed a starving family for the next 30 years. Instead, she uses the money to keep her hedges trimmed. Her eyes are glazed over, and she's got a vacant, expressionless stare. She seems completely oblivious to her surroundings. If we didn't know she'd been buried alive, I'd say she was just exhibiting the typical symptoms of your average rich person.
Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
She is a great woman and a pillar of the community. I cannot imagine why something like this could happen to her, or how someone could be capable of such a barbaric feat. Though this ordeal has been terrible, I am confident she will overcome. The power of her physical constitution is surpassed only by her strength of character.
You think he'd say the same things if he wasn't on her payroll? I highly doubt it.
What were the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's supposed death?
Her son, Andrew, sent for me a few days ago after finding her unconscious and unresponsive. As I was unable to detect a pulse or breath, I had no other recourse but to declare her deceased. I judged that Madame Dupre had likely suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. It was most shocking to be proven wrong at a funeral.
I can imagine. Where was the funeral held, by the way?
St. Denis Cemetery. Madame Dupre wished to be interred in the tomb of her father's family, name of Chesterton.
Perhaps I'll go have a look. How long have you been Madame Dupre's private physician?
5 years, and I've been practicing medicine for the past 30. I still spend a couple of days a week treating patients at Riverview Asylum.
Oh, good. Maybe if you're lucky, he could be your doctor someday.
30 years is quite a long time. You must have seen some incredible advances in the field of medicine.
I have, yes. I can only wonder how things will change with all this talk of ethericity. There's speculation it can be used to restore necrotic tissue and instantly heal broken bones, among other things. If you ask me, a good bloodletting will never go out of fashion.
Did you examine Madame Dupre after she reanimated?
Of course. Physically, she appeared to be in fine health aside from minor dehydration. I found no marks or bruising on her body. Mentally is a different story, however. She's remained in an unresponsive state ever since.
Do you have any opinions on what caused Madame Dupre to appear dead?
The most likely cause I can imagine is some sort of poison or toxin.
What leads you to believe Madame Dupre was poisoned?
The symptoms she experienced were consistent with prior cases of poisoning I've studied. And didn't the young man arrested have ties to some kind of black magic cult? There have been reported cases of these practitioners using poisons to make people appear dead, then commanding them to do their bidding. I recall reading about a man in the West Indies who was given tetrodotoxin, that's the toxic secretion from a pufferfish, declared dead and buried. He appeared alive in his village some 20 years later.
Doesn't that seem a bit far-fetched to you, Doctor?
Facts are facts, Mr. Fordham. Surely someone in your line of work can appreciate that.
Those are all the questions I've got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
Oh, hello. Are you the new servant?
No, I'm Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into your mother's attempted murder.
How did you know I was her son? Oh, of course. You must have sensed it with your detective's intuition. I should have guessed by that giant head of yours.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, I'm fine. Much better than when those pesky police officers were snooping around earlier. But I like you, Mr. Fordham. I can already tell you're not like them at all. Please, call me Andrew.
Yes, well, I'll have a look around and I may need to ask you some questions. Do you think you can handle that?
I can. In fact, I really look forward to it.
If the good doctor gave him a mild sedative, I'd hate to see what the stuff you take would have done to him. Do you suppose that's for the bird? Or perhaps so the Dupre family members can get a good look at themselves on the way out of the house? Dupre looks like she's holding on to that poor bastard for dear life. A horrible little porcelain figurine. Madame Dupre didn't strike me as the type to play with dolls. Must be nice being able to afford keeping your oil lamps lit during the daytime.
Locked. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised.
I've never seen so many beauty products together in one place. Doesn't look like they get used much, though.
They're all empty. How unusual.
Not to mention disappointing. Well, someone's fancy. I never liked these types of beds much. They feel too claustrophobic.
I always thought they had a certain appeal myself.
Yes, you would think that about a bed that lets you shut out the rest of the world. Nice little cottage. Looks like it would make a nice cozy spot to retire. If I hadn't already retired from life, that is. Juliet really likes plants and flowers, doesn't she? A much younger Madame Dupre. I suppose that's a nice alternative to a mirror. That's an old uniform, from the turn of the century by the look of it. This must be Madame Dupre's first husband. Kinda strange that she'd still keep his portrait in the bedroom. Ooh, a fainting couch. You know, I always wanted one of these, but I never fainted enough to justify buying one. One of those melodramatic romances. I read it a while back, and I couldn't tell you a thing about it. Now that one sounds interesting. I was always a fan of Bedletter's short stories. Doesn't appear to be very brief if there's 2 volumes of it. I wonder if anyone outside the family would find this even remotely interesting. Doesn't appear to be very brief if there's 2 volumes. I don't even want to know what that one's about. I read that one last year. If you ever wanted to know the intimate details of a buffalo's anatomy, I highly recommend it. Choice and Consequence. Who in their right mind would write a book about that?
Let's see if there's anything in these drawers. Damn, nothing but personal effects and more stationery.
Don't forget the first rule of detective work. If there's nothing useful inside, check underneath and between.
Ah, yes, of course. Thanks for the reminder.
Now this is intriguing.
I'm not going to warn you again, you disgusting mulatto thug. Stay away from my daughter and my house, or I'll kill.
It would appear that Madame Dupre was taking music lessons.
Her current predicament has probably put an end to that venture, though. Seems Madame Dupre fancies herself a poet.
To dream.
Well, that was life-changing.
For once in my life, I'm completely speechless.
Then perhaps I should take this with me and read it more often. Nah.
You've got some huge bags under your eyes, Miles. Reminds me of the case we had on that strange train.
Don't remind me.
Ah, the Gascon Docks. The artist definitely took some liberties. You can't see a single person getting stabbed. Nice bouquet of roses, although it would make things much...
If only.
Goodness, someone went overboard with the flowers. This brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Ones I'd rather forget.
Why would anyone need so many flowers in one room?
Perhaps it's to mask the odors of those chemicals on the workstation.
Could be. Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. These would make a sloth act like a hummingbird.
These should be useful.
The Science of Pharmacology. Yeah, I'm sure it's riveting stuff. It looks as though this folded piece of paper is being used as a bookmark. I hope remembering what page they were on wasn't too important.
Looks like it's a letter for Andrew.
Andrew, the closest agreed upon fee. I wouldn't be able to concentrate on exams without this help, Dr. Tennyson. charges an obscene amount. Thank goodness for good people like you with home pharmacies. I'll look for them in the usual spot under the weeping angel, Joshua. P.S. Sorry to hear about your mother. I'll wait a few days before passing by.
A gentle reminder that everyone's time is slowly running out. Is this really the best that medical science has to offer? Decadent. Decadent. I can only wonder what sort of potions Andrew concocts in this thing. What in the ether is that thing supposed to be? Actually, I'd rather not know. It must be a nice place to sit and listen to music. Why would anyone...
Perhaps it's...
Oh, look! It's one of those new audio cylindergraphs. I can't quite wrap my head around how they can manage to get sound out of a wax cylinder. I don't know much about art, but I see Madame Dupre and I at least have similar tastes. Certainly no shortage of bowls or food preparation items around here. Yeah, it looks like gumbo's on the menu tonight. I wonder how it compares with Upton's special recipe.
Stoked. Save. time. I know it's a shorter stream, but I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'll try to do longer tomorrow.